Good, whatever, whenever. Good morning, good evening, good whatever, whenever. It's like almost 4 o'clock in the morning. It's 3:51 a.m. I'm in that in between period where I guess I wake up and go back to sleep. And right as I started this, like some aircraft just flew overhead. Then I heard a train. Fun fact: it seems like wherever I go, well, hmm, I think campus was the only place where I wasn't around a train. Just seems like there's always trains. Even when I go to my dad's house, there's a train. Here, there's trains. And I'm like, where is the nearest train for me to be hearing it? Like, it's right next door. Ooh, the tower and the sun card. I'm going to be doing that thing where I get a card and then we'll just see what comes out. I would say hopefully it's nice, but it is what it is. Before I go back to sleep, I took a nap earlier today, so that probably messed me up a little bit. But the Hanged One and the Five of Wands, I feel like we've seen those before. These ancient conflicts or whatever. Ace of Cups and the Hanged Man. Alright. Ooh, Queen of Cups and Ace of Cups. Clorinda, hey. Yeah, it's like really late. Or early. It's really early. How are you doing today, Clorinda? Hi, how are you, love? I was like, oh, might as well, get this out of the way today. Because I did say that I was gonna. There's the train. Can y'all hear that? And then she smiled. That's what I'm after. The smile in her eyes. The sound of her laughter. Da, 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 da. One card, please, for this gorgeous day. I kind of want to eat something, but also I don't want to eat this late because I'm literally about to go to sleep. And so I put on this tank top today, and I'm starting to like flatten out a little bit. I'm like, oh my gosh, come through. Losing a little bit of weight. Not too bad, not too bad. What? Oh, okay. Oh, nice. Yeah, they're getting older, aren't they? Well, congrats to Georgia for getting her license. It's you know, she's getting older. One of these days, she'll be a full-grown adult with a family if she chooses to have a family. And you'll just be like, "Where did little Georgia go?" I remember when I pulled some cards for her one day. You were like, "Hey, I'm with my niece Georgia. Can you pull her some cards?" I was like, "Yeah." Okay. I've been shuffling this for a minute. Death in the Four of Swords. Excuse me. That's the transformative power of peace and a sound mind. 1-8. Oh wow. Oh wow. So well, look at that. Is that the age that people typically like? Is that the minimum age to get a license over there in Clarendon? It's like 16 over here, or is that just when she's getting it? I'm just curious because they do it at different ages all around the world. She's got a boyfriend. Is this the same person? Because I remember a while ago when we talked, I think there was someone that she was interested in as well. Okay. Can I get this card, please? Thank you. I'm like, hello? Bottom of the deck is the Five of Swords. It's a porcupine in this deck. The porcupine has one eyebrow. So I can't tell if the porcupine is concerned or not. Well, because of the its facial expression, it's not looking too oh, and then the Ten of Swords is behind it. There's a little Mr. Porcupine. That's the Five of Swords. Now, since it's a porcupine, these swords are like part of the anatomy of this creature, right? There's a whole bunch of cards. Oh, two threes. So there's the Three of Pentacles, the Seven of Swords, and the High Priestess. That's half your family, Italians. Okay. Hold on, wait. So learners are 16, licensed at 18 on P plates for 3 years, then full license at 21. This is the Affirmators Tarot. Affirmators Tarot for magical guidance from the universe to help you help yourself without the self-helpiness. And Casey gifted this to me. So shout out to Casey for the gift. I love it. That's a long time to get a full license. I feel like that makes sense. That's oh, with only one eyebrow. So the Three of Pentacles, the Seven of Swords, and the High Priestess. This is interesting. So I feel like in general, this is just talking about how we're going to be having these sort of collaborative opportunities coming up. There are going to be opportunities for collaboration coming up. And intuitively, we're going to know whether or not it's an opportunity that we should invest in. Now, with the Five Swords here, I'm kind of sort of leaning towards this is something that we know that we should invest in, but we're not going to do it because of yeah. And then the Knight of Swords is behind this Ten of Swords. So many swords because of the Five of Swords and the Ten of Swords. I feel like these are like sort of worries and anxieties. This is a mental battle within ourselves, and it may be that we don't think we're qualified, we're not worthy, we're not good enough, we think we'll ruin whatever this opportunity is. And with the Ten of Swords here, this is an opportunity for us to kind of sort of put that line of thinking to bed, right? It reminds me very much Garden of Eden because it looks snaky, but it's got, arms and legs. And after the incident happened at the Garden of Eden, God cursed the snake to slither on its belly, right? And I think I've talked about it before. I'm pretty sure I've talked about it before. I talked about it for sure in that half an hour I was live with my microphone muted. So that video got deleted. But snakes have pelvic bones. And it's like, why do snakes have pelvic bones if they don't have any legs, right? They're vestigial structures. And vestigial structures are things that used to do something, things that used to be really important, like way back in the day, that we don't really have an environmental need for anymore. But it hasn't been phased out of evolution completely, right? Like in humans, they say that, like, I think the spleen and the appendix are kind of sort of vestigial because, like, we can survive without them now, and we don't really, like, we don't need them really. I'm sure they do something to make it better, but yeah. And it really does feel like there's something about us, but because again, it's a porcupine, right? So these swords are the spines of the porcupine, and we're just like, oh, like maybe we're a little abrasive and prickly, or maybe it makes us a little abrasive and prickly. So this could also be that like there's someone that wants to work with us, or we want to work with someone who we see as abrasive, almost like a Queen of Swords energy. And so we don't actually want to like. I don't feel like it's this one necessarily. I don't feel like it's this one necessarily. Those thoughts make us feel that way. Make us feel what way? Like prickly and abrasive? Because I was gonna say like maybe it's the case that someone wants to work with us, but they see this like super reactionary side of us. So even though like there's a part of them that really believes we're going to be, and again I feel like this is less the case than the first thing, like it's like that, like they see the potential within us, but because we're like this, it's like they'd rather just like go with somebody else. It's like you're the most qualified candidate for a position, but you're super abrasive, you're not very open, and they feel that you would be hard to work with. So even though you're the most qualified, you might not get it because people don't want to work with you. And it's kind of blunt. Um, but I am feeling it more of the first thing, where it's us not necessarily feeling qualified for a certain thing because of something that is sort of inherently us, or something that's become inherently us. And we're sort of being given this opportunity to kind of sort of realize that that's not necessarily the truth, to end that cycle of self sabotage and doubt, and to pick up a new truth. And then we have the Four of Wands under this, to pick up a new truth and to move forward with that. Okay, let me see. And our thoughts make us feel not good enough to work with future partnership. Exactly. Pessimistic instead of yeah. But it's like if you give yourself the opportunity, because like the high priestess is here, so like we know that it honestly feels that like this is an opportunity that's for us, and this seven of swords is very heavy self-sabotage energy, right? And the seven of swords in this deck, like that's those swords aren't behind this animal's back, like you see all seven swords and they're just taking them from you and you're letting them walk away with them, and they're like, oh hey, I'm just gonna take these, and you don't even like, you're not even like, no, don't take it. It could be. And like it would probably also be related to something that you've been knowing that you need to release, or you've been getting the opportunity to release for a while, or to address. And so then we have, the Knight of Swords. Oh, take this one too. Oh, this is beautiful. This is gorgeous. What's this? Yeah, 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 yeah. Okay, so here's a whole bunch of cards at the bottom of the deck. Okay, we'll stop here. So, High Priestess is telling you that you're going to have this moment, this opportunity to collaborate with something or someone. It could be in any manner of collaboration, right? But for some reason, there's this fear here in the middle of missing out on this opportunity or something not quite adding up, right? And we can see here at the bottom of the deck, the more subconscious influence, it's this Five of Swords backed by the Ten of Swords, which is a lot, it's a negative self perception. It's an inherent, it's like, I feel like there's a reason why this Five of Swords is here. Because again, the spines, the quills are biological for the porcupine. They're just a part of the porcupine, right? And so maybe it's like you get an opportunity, but you don't think you have the personality. Let's say that you're going into something or you get presented with something that's a little bit more social and you're more reserved and shy. So you're like, oh, like I'm not social enough for that or sociable enough for that. Like I'm too quiet, I'm too reserved. Let's say that like or on the other hand, it's like let's say that you're someone who isn't necessarily, it's like you can't see that you are like patient and understanding. Like you don't think you're a people person, right? It's like you don't mean to offend people, that you just do. And there's a difference between like accidentally offending people and like purposefully offending people. Maybe you're like a little blunt or a little harsh and people don't take what you say very well, right? Again, with that Queen of Swordsy type energy. And so you're like, ooh, like especially let's say like if you're working with children, you're probably not. But with children, like you assume that like, I gotta be a little bit more patient and I don't have the patience to work with children. I don't have the this to do that type energy. So I think it's time to like put an end to that cycle of thinking. This is going to be an opportunity to do that. And again, if it's coming up now, it's probably going to be related to an area that you've either been healing or that you've been exposed to or in the realm of healing something of this nature. And if you move forward with this opportunity, it's like you're going to discover this new truth about yourself with that Knight of Swords because you're going to allow yourself to be in a position where you discover that whatever you think about yourself isn't actually true, right? Like a porcupine's quills aren't always up, right? They go down sometimes and then they come up when they need to. So that also could be some Ten of Swords situation in your past that's made you super abrasive and you've turned that abrasiveness into a feature of you, right? In order to not get taken advantage of again, right? You become this like Queen of Swords in reverse type of energy. And like this is a Three of Pentacles partnership. And so it requires a certain amount of openness for it to succeed. And if that openness isn't there, it's gonna fall apart with that Seven of Swords energy. And honestly, it feels more like we wouldn't even take it in the first place than it is like we engage with this and then something Seven of Swordsy happens and then we're like, oh, I knew that that wasn't going to be a good idea, right? Now that could be the case for sure, but it might not be. And under that Knight of Swords is this Four of Wands. Who is this? What am I looking at right now? I know that this is supposed to be an animal of. Oh, it's a turtle. It's a turtle or a tortoise chilling on its back. This is the tortoise that won the race. Like, a who beat the hare? Who beat the rabbit? The Four of Wands lies under this Knight of Swords. The Four of Wands is a card of celebration, and it's also a card of, it's like the minor world card, right? So it's these like mile markers in life, things that we celebrate, graduations, marriages, getting your license for some people. It's like a rite of passagey type energy. It's like, at this age, I do this thing. You get a new job, you celebrate, right? You retire, you celebrate. You get married, you celebrate. It's things that we culturally, societally, something worth celebrating. And then there's this Eight of Wands energy that comes in after. And it feels like, oh, I've seen these. I saw these together. So these, the Four of Wands and the Eight of Wands, was the energy 2 days ago, I think, on the other channel. I didn't know what to title the video, so I just titled it "The Demiurge and the Sharpshooter," which was the name of the cards. But it's like, because we find success in this thing, it opens us up in so many ways. Again, because we're starting to, with this Knight of Swords and the Ten of Swords, it's like we're realizing that whatever has this in the Five of Swords, whatever has us in this Five of Swords state right now, doesn't have to continue to hold us back if we take this opportunity. And then that completely changes our self narrative, because now we go from being someone who's not worthy or someone who wouldn't be successful in this endeavor, in this situation, this collaborative situation. When we show up and like things actually go well, then it's like, wait, if I can do this, then like, what else can I do? It really opens up doors, and I feel like that's what the energy of the Eight of Wands is, coming in after the Four of Wands. The Four of Wands is when we realize, like, hold up, wait, like, I'm actually pretty good at this, or I'm actually a lot better at this than I thought I would be. Like, what else can I do? It's like the a doorway that leads to many, many, many more opportunities. And then we have the World card and the Ten of Cups. And the World and the Ten of Cups, like, here's the minor world card with the Four of Wands celebration, right? And then here's the like closing of cycles with the world and the Ten of Cups. I think it'll eventually lead us down a very, very fulfilling pathway. And that's why this High Priestess energy is coming out at the end of this, because it's like Spirit knows that this is one of the pathways, this is one of those higher timelines that lead us eventually to the Ten of Cups. And the Four of Wands was also there, and the Eight of Wands was there too, right? It started kind of rough with the Five of Swords and the Ten of Swords, but after we, like, with that Knight of Swords, through the space of action, we're challenging these old narratives and we're rewriting these programs, we're changing, because we accept these opportunities and we allow them to be rewritten, and because we allow our perspective of the self to be changed. It opens up us up to a whole lot more. But again, like with the Seven of Swords right here and with the Five of Swords at the bottom of the deck, it just feels like something that we're not even going to take. Like, we're not even going to, and it might lead us to a lot of stability, because the Queen of Pentacles is behind this Ten of Cups. Like, financial stability and security, emotional fulfillment, like a whole new way of living life type energy with that World card. But again, it doesn't feel like we're actually going to go for it. And I've been feeling for a while. It honestly seems like a lot of us are going to get these huge opportunities. And what's going to really determine whether we take it or not is the work that we put into ourselves. if we're still in a space of self-sabotaging, we'll never even get far enough to hit that Knight of Swords, because we're not gonna push through the Ten of Swords, right? At the bottom of the deck. And these, like, the bottom of the deck is the more subconscious influence, right? Because with the Five of Swords, we might try it. We'll be like, oh, it's a stretch, but I may try it. And then we hit the Ten of Swords and it's like, oh no, we give up, right? We give up at the 10, never to discover what the truth of who we actually are is with that Knight of Swords that leads to the Four of Wands, the Eight of Wands, the World card, and the Ten of Cups, because we're self sabotaging. And like, the Seven of Swords in this deck is so heavy self sabotage energy because, like, this animal, this creature, they're not behind its back. And it's just like, hey, I'm going to take these. Okay, bye. And then you just let them go. It honestly feels like this is the opportunity, or one of the opportunities, that we've been manifesting. But it's going to require us to be an active participant with this Three of Pentacles energy, because the Three of Pentacles is a card of collaboration and teamwork. And if you're not contributing, then you don't get the thing. And it'll be a lot easier to, like, take this if you've been doing the work. It just will. It just will be, you know? So, I don't know. Oh, and look, there's the star card at the cut. Yeah. This is a space of wish fulfillment. This is a space of your dream coming true. But if you haven't worked through everything that you need to work through to put yourself in a position to do that, like Pinocchio made the wish to become a real boy, right? And he spent, oh girl, I can't even remember the movie now. So we're gonna go with the version of Pinocchio that's in my head. Pinocchio made the wish. First, Geppetto made the wish to have a son, and Pinocchio turned, the inanimate object turned into an animate puppet, and then the animate puppet wished to be a real boy, so Geppetto could have his, like, the fullness of his wish realized. But in order for Pinocchio to be a real boy, it requires that puppet to really have a soul incarnate on its own. And whenever you bring a life into the world, it's its own life, right? So just like if Geppetto had gotten with Japina, I don't even know if that's the name. I'm sorry. Even if Geppetto had found himself a lady to have a child with, again, that child takes on its own life. And so Pinocchio, along with Jiminy Cricket, which is that it's our conscience that lives inside of all of us that helps us. It's the moral compass of, like, right from wrong in our own internal world. And then Pinocchio had to go through his journey of all of that foolishness, right? And then by the end, his wish is granted his wish. Why am I stuttering now? His wish is granted to become a real boy, and Geppetto's wish is granted to have a son. But Geppetto couldn't fulfill the requirements for Pinocchio to become a real boy. Pinocchio had to do that on his own. And we're in this space of collaboration, right? The Three of Pentacles. And it's like, if you're not holding up your end of the bargain, it doesn't work out, right? Because I'm sure Geppetto would have been just fine if Pinocchio was a puppet. Because better to have an animate puppet than nothing at all. But Pinocchio was the one that wanted more, right? Was Geppetto even more glad when he got a real boy as a son? Yeah, of course. But again, like, would he have been okay if Pinocchio was just like Pinocchio? Yeah, right? Because then he could save money. You ain't got to feed a puppet. You ain't gotta do a whole bunch of stuff with a puppet. It don't make messes as far as, like, going to the bathroom. You can save on, like, water, right? Stuff like that. It requires something. Everything requires something. And a lot of times we don't want to pay it. And so we seek other means of getting it. But you love that movie. I don't think I've seen bits and pieces of it. I know he turns into like a donkey because he goes to the one place and then he gets like drunk or something, and I think he ends up in the belly of a whale. But if you ain't listening to your Jiminy Cricket, you're not gonna be a real boy. You know. Jiminy kind of sort of, and he never really said anything, but Jiminy is like the wish granter, right? The blue fairy grants Geppetto's wish to make Pinocchio real. And so Geppetto probably had his own whole journey before, he got his wish granted. Anyway, I don't have to go super deep into it. It's the space of wish fulfillment, but it's the beginning. And if you're not going to show up, you're not going to get it. It's that simple, right? Ain't got to feel bad for nobody because they ain't whatever. I don't have it in me to feel bad because we all make our own choices and we all make our own decisions, and we get to decide if we actually show up in our lives and if we handle the things that we need to handle. And if we don't, it's on us because it's no one else's job to do that for us, right? Oh, here's the world card again. Oh, now the world is at the cup with the Ace of Cups. Look at that. There's a lot of beauty just waiting to be claimed. But if you continue to stand in your own way because of all the things that you've been avoiding as the opportunities to address some of these things have come up, then it's a choice. And choices have consequences. And the divine, the universe, I won't say the divine, the universe outside of the hands of the divine isn't necessarily obligated to fulfill requests that don't have any action backing them. Yeah. Bottom of the deck is the Knight of Cups. And the card that just flipped out, Judgment. I haven't been seeing this card in this deck lately. It used to come out all the time. And then the Page of Cups was at the top of the deck. So Page of Cups at the top of the deck. Judgment is the card that came out. And then we have this Knight of Cups. So, what'd you say, Clorinda? So much meaning in that movie. I wonder if I should watch it. I might. Potentially. Hey, Zelda. 1 hour left to go. Whoop, whoop. Almost time to go home. But yeah, that's what I got. Judgment is out here. Judgment is interesting. There's a rat in Judgment. Judgment is number 20. 2020 is the year of the rat. We have a sun or a moon up there. I haven't decided if this is a sun or a moon. The tip of the iceberg is here, or it's a mountain in the clouds. How are you doing, Zelda? Besides working the night shift. Let's look at penguins. Maybe emperor penguins. I don't think this is an emperor. Oh, you see this winged helmet? The winged helmet and the winged boots both give me Hermes energy, Mercury energy. Mercury is about to go retrograde in like 2 days. I think it retrogrades on the 13th. Um, in Scorpio. And this is the Knight of Cups. But as Mercury is retrograding in Scorpio, we're in this energy of judgment. And the energy of judgment associated with this Page of Cups is it's like whether or not we're going to paint this brand new life for ourselves, or we're just like gonna not. You know what I mean? We'll do Zelda. We'll do. So yeah, or at least that's how I'm feeling it. I've been feeling this whole year since February. It's been like Spirit is giving us the keys to our own to the car. And either we're gonna drive our lives somewhere or we're just gonna sit idle or we're gonna give the keys to somebody else and we'll just go wherever they take us. Oh, penguins. That's what I was gonna do. Let's look up penguins. Penguins. Penguin. Excuse me. Penguin. What's the spirit message? Spirit meaning. I mean, the Knight of Cups is moving forward with your heart, and you can't move forward with your heart if you're in that Queen of Swords in reverse state because it makes you incapable of vulnerability, incapable of true vulnerability. And in the space of Three of Pentacles partnership, vulnerability is kind of sort of required. And maybe that's another thing. If we perceive a vulnerability as weakness, then we're not going to be able to show up in the way that we need to show up in this collaborative space. And then that'll be that Five of Swords thing, because it's like sometimes we get taken advantage of. Like I said, like something happens and then we adopt some piece of armor as like it's our skin now. And it's interesting because that came up earlier, or I guess yesterday, with the World card and the Devil at the bottom of the deck. It was about releasing all of these things from the past and going out into the world more vulnerable, wrapped in the victory, the finish line ribbon that was the purple color with the expanded heart space, and then the world came out again. Um, you're just trying to get to see her more. Oh, yeah. I just, I just saw something. So I saw it on the internet somewhere, like yesterday or the day before, that like since male penguins are the ones that take care of the babies, that like if there's a gay penguin couple, sometimes they'll steal eggs from other penguins and then raise them as their kid. I was like, oh snap! I didn't know that gay penguins was out here snatching people kids. Oh goodness. But I guess the next year the the other penguin couple could just have another baby. I don't know, because like they'll like switch it out with the rock or something like that. I'm like, what? So let's see. Also, it calls to mind seahorses, right? Because seahorses bear the babies, and it's another aquatic, masculine energy that has a responsibility for birthing or incubating life. Penguin symbolism. Oh, goodness. Oh, this says build your self esteem by paying attention to your personal appearance. Go get that haircut, shave, manicure, pedicure you have been putting off. You deserve it. Penguin. I don't know about this one. I mean, maybe. Here's one. Alternatively, penguin symbolism is pointing out to you that you can adapt to any situation at any time. Just keep flexible and remain centered within yourself so that you can keep moving forward. Therefore, you must believe that you have a good connection between the physical and the spiritual, and that you will naturally know what to do next. That's the one that I'm going to take because it's talking about movement, and this is the Knight of Cups. That's intuitively knowing what to do next. That's being led by those internal waters. This judgment card is like throwing me off. It isn't. I feel like I want to make this something that it's not. I mean, it just is what it is. Judgment in the Witch's Tarot is karma. This is a space of us putting an ending to certain karmic cycles or perpetuating them. And those karmic cycles related to whatever that Five of Swords and Ten of Swords is in your own life that would keep you from being a fully engaged participant in a Three of Pentacles situation because of some Seven of Swords fear that you're gonna whatever, right? Even when you know that spirit is telling you that this opportunity is for you with the space of that High Priestess, or it's just needing to trust spirit in general, right? And that's another thing that this with the penguin is. That's another thing that the penguin is talking about. Because with the Knight of Cups, not only is it about like leading from your heart, but it also involves that more intuitive element. And this is a space of action in that intuitive element. Almost like the King of Cups energy, but not quite a king yet, just like the Knight of Swords wasn't quite yet a king or queen of swords, because this is something that we're putting into action probably for the first time. So I like that. I like where that ends. And that's going to decide the outcome that we get. It's almost like we're in this space of sort of finalizing and locking into the timeline that we're going to be in for the next hot minute because of what we allow ourselves to accept, right? If you allow yourself growth, then you'll get on a growth timeline where you get what you want, right? And it may not necessarily you get ultimately you get your wish fulfilled, right? It may not be exactly what you want, but it will be fulfilled in the way that it needs to be. Because again, like if you're Geppetto, you don't determine whether or not Pinocchio is a real boy. You get your Pinocchio. That's your wish. Your one wish is your Pinocchio. Now Pinocchio has to make himself into a real boy. Geppetto can't make. Ugh, that just turned into some like Frankenstein. This ain't Frankenstein. And Dr. Frankenstein ended up, he was taken out by his own creation. So didn't end well for Frankenstein either. So maybe that's why Geppetto's like, you know what? I read Frankenstein, so I'm gonna stick to wood. I'm gonna stick to like a balsa wood, so like not like a sturdy wood. Like if I got a, let me stop. Okay, it's all about those rocks. Okay, all right, all right. Let's see. Let me catch up. Do 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 do. Bleach color your hair. You've been putting it off. Dating for you. You just need to trust. Yep. King of Cups energy. Exactly. Stick to it. Exactly. Okay. So, I was gonna read this. So I'm gonna read this and then I'll let Charles go. I'm gonna get back to sleep and then wake up and be productive tomorrow. I've accomplished every non-school related thing that I need to accomplish for now. So now it's time to focus on classes. Judgment. Imagine you're at the end of your life looking back on this moment with total clarity. I talked about that lately. I think that was on the other channel as well. Because I was like, if you knew now what you'll know then, it'll make whatever this decision is easier. Like let's say for instance you get an opportunity and that like you go to a job interview, right? You go to the store, you do whatever and you meet somebody, and through that person you meet somebody else, and then like your whole life changes, right? You get this job that changes your life, you meet a person that you fall in love with and that changes your life, you find a friend group who comes up with this idea and you're like this integral part of that idea and it completely changes your life, and then 10 years down the road you look back and you're like, wow, like that one time I took that leap of faith and it turned into this, and I had so much like worry and anxiety, but if I would have known that it was going to turn out like this, it would have been so much easier. It's kind of sort of that energy. Like if you knew now what you'll know at the end of the line, you wouldn't even have all of this anxiety. And that's kind of sort of the space of trust, I guess, and trusting in the universe and in spirit, that it's just like I don't have to know how this is going to shake out or play out. I know it's going to be good. And I'm just going to show up and be open to the experience and fully engaged or engaged to the best of my ability. And I'm going to take it for what it is. And I'm not going to be the person holding me back. If something or someone else wants to serve as an obstacle, unfortunate but fine. But I'm not going to be the person holding me back anymore. Right? Anyway, what y'all say? You gotta go. All right, Zelda. Enjoy the rest of your shift, or I hope it doesn't pass too slowly and that you sleep good and that you get to see your daughter more. Talk to you later. So let's finish this. Oh, there we go. Imagine you're at the end of your life, looking back on this moment with total clarity. There are many paths before you, but you can see clearly which ones lead to the same old negative BS and which ones get you an express escalator straight up to a higher dimension. Trust that you're seeing things clearly and take advantage of it. Drop any guilt, sorrow, or other cumbersome baggage from your past and sprint to those magical moving stairs. As the hero of your story, you owe it to yourself to accept the call of a blissful future. Oh, and do not worry, you'll get a whole new set of baggage later on. Ah, it's like if you're worried about not having any baggage, life will always give you more baggage, right? That was funny. Ditch the old baggage, get some new baggage. I don't know. The affirmation here is I am worthy of my highest potential, and I am totally ready to live my best life just as soon as I finish binge watching this TV show. Okay. All right. Finish watching the TV show, wrap up whatever you got to wrap up. But after that, eventually you got to get to work. I love that. I love that. As many times as I've seen the Justice card and I've never read the entry for it, that's amazing. Many paths lie ahead of you. A lot of them lead to the same old negative BS that you're coming out of, right? Some of them lead to this magical escalator that takes you straight to the top, right into this higher dimension. 2020, 3D, 4D, 5D, you know. It's a space of preparedness for it. Not everyone's necessarily ready for 5D living right now. But that's fine. We all get there on our own time, right? That's what I got. Thanks, Clorinda and Zelda, for coming in. It was fun. Yep, exactly. Like I want fancy luggage, you know. I want luggage with handles so that I can roll it around. I want one of those like huge like things that people walk through the airport on their back and you're like, "Oh my gosh, that is not going to fit in the overhead compartment or under the seat." um like travel luggage, you know. I don't know. Just like there's like the luggage that we take if like we're going to some like aquatic beachy watery type area, if we're doing something a little bit more adventurous, then there's the adventurous luggage. If I don't know, if we just going on a road trip, then you get your road trip luggage. It's a bag for every occasion, right? Or something, I don't know. I think I'm trying to make something happen and it ain't nothing there to make happen. All right, Clorinda, it was very, very first class on Wi-Fi. Oh, and first class, it'll fit. Well, I ain't never flown first class. That's something else to put on the list, right? It fits in first class. Are you serious? So I guess that's how you know who's flying first class. It's like that don't fit economy. That don't fit business. Okay. All right. Well, it was fun. I hope again y'all have a good whatever whenever you see this. I hope and pray that you are acting ACTING in alignment ALIGNMENT to choose the path that leads up the escalators instead of down the elevators, right? Because it's like We've done that before. We've done these cycles. Let's play up here. But again, like we all get to choose in our own lives what we decide to do, and it's a lot easier to make choices that align with elevation if you're addressing the reasons that keep you kind of sort of down in the first place. I mean, when you're addressing like issues of self-worth, is that if that's an issue for you, issues of vulnerability, if that's an issue for you, issues of resolving different traumas in your past, if that's an issue for you, like trust issues, abandonment issues, substance abuse issues, like literally anything that could just completely derail you from this path. It reminds me of whenever I was talking about people trying to liberate Scorpios from their darkness. And it's like Scorpio kind of sort of is an energy that has to do it itself because it's so dense. And Scorpio is the only thing that can breathe down there. And if even if we can get down to Scorpio, it's like um if you don't have enough tank in your if you don't have enough air in your tank, you're gonna waste oxygen trying to convince Scorpio, hey, let's go to the surface. Scorpio has to liberate itself, right? Pluto. That's why Pluto is a Pluto. It's a space where we have to liberate ourselves. We can't really do it for anybody else. And if we try to pull somebody else up, then it's like, oh, I forgot this thing down at the bottom of the ocean. And it's like, you left that thing down there on purpose. Like you purposefully left that there just to like get me, like to make me think that you would come to the surface. And then we get almost all the way up to the surface and you're like, oh, I forgot this thing, like I got to go back and get it, and you're running out of oxygen. So you're like, okay, I just got to let Scorpio go, because if I go back down there with Scorpio, I might drown, and I can't afford to drown, because if I drown, then definitely can't help Scorpio. So it is this space of things that we've kind of sort of more or less had to do for ourselves. And the more we've done, the more work we've done on resolving those things in the past, the easier it'll be for us to choose the things that we want moving forward into the future. And I know I've literally been saying the same thing this whole video and for quite a while now, honestly. But, it doesn't hurt to reiterate that fact. So yeah, you're on your way to those elevators. Same. No problem, Clorinda. It is my pleasure to be of service. If anything resonates, I'm going to get some sleep now. Some more sleep. I feel like I'm kind of sort of starting to wake up. But yeah, I'm going to go now. Like I said, have a good whatever, whenever. I hope you're acting in alignment to choose the escalators instead of the eels. If you've seen that episode of SpongeBob, Eels and Escalators, where SpongeBob kept rolling eels and Patrick kept rolling escalators. and then and then SpongeBob rolled eels and Patrick was like, eels. I was like, Patrick, you ain't even have to do all that. SpongeBob already know that he rolled eels. Anyway, all right, that's enough. I'll catch y'all later. Thanks for stopping by, and thank you for being a part of this experience with me, I guess. Especially like if you make escalator choices, then like thank you. I want to live in a world where more people are making escalator choices instead of eel choices. Cause it just, I don't want to say it like it anchors the collective as if like whatever, but it's just like we deserve more. We as a collective deserve more, but also we as individuals deserve more. And it may be kind of selfish, but I don't want to have to live in a world where people just out there like suffering like that. But, maybe we'll align to a timeline where there's a lot less suffering and there's a lot more compassion And we don't necessarily have to see everything that we're kind of sort of seeing right now, right? And if there's a timeline where that's still the case or where it gets worse, then if it's not my experience, it's not my experience. I don't know. I don't know what I'm talking about. Obviously, I need to go. I'll catch y'all later.